Welcome to Goldfish on Games and Cover This Face Off Excel, where we're back to February of 1991. And we're going back enough that we're going to have to pick a few different magazines. This includes Amiga Fun and Zero, and joining them are Amiga Format, the one for 16 bits, Amiga Action and See You Amiga. Fight! And where else can we start but with the lowest number, Zero, that had just a single disc that covered 2 platforms, and it contained 2 demos for the Amiga, as for some reason they didn't want to give us Amiga owners the 3rd demo they gave for the ST ones, Turrican 2. So instead we're going to have to make do with Cadaver, a Bitmap Brothers game that I've not really put any time into, but this demo does make it look interesting, as it's an isometric style world, but with that Bitmap Bros style to the graphics. There are lots of items to pick up and investigate, which include some books that will give you some handy information like who made the demo and how much the full game will cost when it comes out. I also found a few pits that you can fall into, that the only way to get out is to drink a poisoned potion so you'll die and then reset. There seems to be a lot of ways to get stuck here, so I'm not sure if I'm missing something, but it does seem quite interesting as it has a decent icon driven interface that's easy to use. And the demo does appear to be a custom one as well, as I tried to find it in the full game to see how to solve some of the puzzles and failed to do so. I think this might be a very small area with everything designed to kill you, but because there's lots of things that you can interact with, it makes you think that it's actually larger and more open than it actually is. So I can't really tell how large this demo actually is, and if I've played a lot of it or just a tiny part of it. But if you've completed this in the past, let me know in the comments what you meant to do, because I'm getting seriously stuck here. The other demo is for Chips Challenge, a top-down puzzle game where you have to work your way out of a bit of a maze, all while collecting the chips. Originally this was an Atari Lynx game, with its simple but effective graphics, and gameplay that goes nicely for a handheld title. The Amiga version, well, it seems decent enough as well. And here we get level 9, based on the magazine info and what's on screen. And this is already shaping up to be a challenge, as you have to deal with moving things that will kill you, moving into things that will kill you, and sliding things that will kill you. But even with all this, I found this a lot of fun. And it is a great little game, and this demo does give you a decent idea of what to expect from the final title. Let's continue with counting up as we go to the one for 16 bits. That in this issue gave away a full free game for both the Amiga and Atari, and that game was Foundation's Waste. Not a game I'd heard of before. Now this is a Micro-Wish title that came out in 1988, and being a bit early, there wasn't much in the way of reviews for it either, but the ones I found weren't great. Now this is a vertical shooter, and I do have to keep reminding myself that this was quite an early one, as this isn't great. It's not exactly amazing to look at, and it does run a little slow, although I think if you play it with sound effects instead of music, it does run a little bit faster. And for those that were wondering, this isn't a shoot 'em up construction kit game, as I don't think that was released for the Amiga by this point. Plus, this actually has upgrades, from bolting on extra parts to our already massive ship that can fire in other directions, to getting limited shields or other weapons. Now there's 4 relatively large maps in the game, and with how slowly it scrolls, it could take a while to finish the whole thing. Now when it was released, I could see this being fine if slightly uninspired shooter, With its massive ship and even larger hitbox, it doesn't exactly zip around, and it means death can come very easily. But by 1991, well, there were so much better games that you could be playing, and I could see this one being a bit of a difficult sell even at a budget price point. And, well, I really didn't enjoy it now. Let's find out what Amiga Format has in store for us on its single disc. And it seems to be the typical combination of software, PD and random bits and demos. And first up is the image of the month, featuring the real Dennis the Menace and his dog Gnasher. There's also some source code to show off working with graphics and moving tile blocks around, and we get both the source code itself as well as a compiled version to try out. We also have a program that will attempt to play any file that you point it at. But it does so in a way that won't try and load the entire thing into RAM. It's a shame that Amiga Format didn't include a sample to play, instead the menu tries to play the picture of the month file. They also included the docs and software to create your very own menu similar to what we have here, which I think is also the same one they used for the Big 100. But let's get on to the PD, which is a text-based adventure. The Island of the Photons, where your team has crash landed on an island while trying to investigate a UFO. And only you survive, and you need to continue the mission, which requires a lot of typing and being precise in what you want to do. Like the gas canisters, they keep telling me they have a label, but read doesn't seem to work. I'm not sure if that actually even can check out what it says on the labels. It's one of the problems I have with games like this, and the amount of aimless wandering around you end up doing. I guess it's nice that there's so much flavor text for all these dead ends, but maybe open up the world a little more after you've given the gamer some real goals to work towards, and had a chance to work out how to use the parser. Just typing in north, south, east, west constantly, and then trying to find something to actually do to get going, isn't a fun way to start a game. Now, I played this for a bit and then got eaten by a lion. I'm not sure what I was meant to do to stop that, really. And on that note, we have Amiga Format's demo in the form of Champion of the Raj. Not a game I played before, and there's a few screens explaining what the basics of the full title are, and it seems to be some form of strategy style thing. The art style is a little odd. I'm not sure if it's a port of a PC game, but it does have that EGA look about it with some interesting colour choices. But looking at the full game, I think they might have sorted that out by the time it got released. Now, this demo is just for one of the action sequences, the Tiger Hunt. The cursor, well, it moves around very erratically when using the mouse. And you can't even use the mouse buttons to shoot, you have to use the spacebar, which is a very odd choice. And to be honest, I'm really not being sold on this game, as while there is lots of movement and animations going on in that grass, this just isn't fun. I don't want to shoot tigers. I'd rather just leave it for our hero to be mauled by them instead. So I really wouldn't play this one again. Popping up now is Amiga Action, with just a single disc and another full game. That impending launch of Amiga Power, with the talk that there were going to be a proper gaming mag, as well as providing a full game with each issue, really shook things up for a while. Well, until the new rules came into place. And the game they provided was Mean 18, which is a 1986 golf game by Microsmiths. and this feels and shows its age in just about every part of the title. Now, one of the upsides is that it does have 4 different courses based on real life places, like, say, St. Andrews. And how close they are, well, I couldn't really tell you, as I'm not very golf minded. But wow, is this an ugly game? I was hoping that this was the result of them wanting something that drew fast. But that doesn't seem to be the case either, as moving left or right isn't exactly quick. Now, this does use the standard 3-tap method for the swing, but the gauge, well, it's a little different, as each of those blocks account for 10% of your power, with that red line indicating 50%. You can also push it into the red zone, and you can hit it for much harder up to 110%, but that shot, well, it's not going to be quite in control, so you have no idea where it's going to go. Now, the final tap should be as close to that dark green bar as possible, but even being just a tiny bit out is enough for that ball to go quite wild. Now, as always with these early golf games, they don't give you any handy hints of what the range of the selected club will be. So how would I know how much power I need to give the hit? Now, maybe it's a form of copy protection, as they do print that information in the manual, which of course you don't get with this copy of the game, as yeah, they didn't really print out much information on the game in the magazine. Now, I'm sure at the time this was amazing, and in early 1991 it might still have been one of the better golf games around. But this is the same year that games like PGA Tour Golf and Micropose Golf would come out. So I guess if there was any time you were going to release this for free, now was the time. And I'm sure it would have been great for someone, but it's not for me. Showing everyone else how it's done is Zero Amiga, who are really bringing it with this single disc, but with 2 impressive demos that you'll have to get past their bit on the side, their Cracktro style intro that's meant to give some juicy extras and behind the scenes info, but this month it seemed a bit light. And that first demo is for Nebulous 2. That drops you right into the level, where I died, well, pretty much straight away, as I didn't realise that spinning thing was death. This is continuing the tower spinning and climbing action of the original game. And where that original was on multiple platforms, this one was just for the Amiga, and death awaits you everywhere. So it ends up being a bit of a trial and error game. But I have to say, it is one of the nicest looking trial and error games that I've played on the Amiga, as that tower rotates so nicely. And it even has some really neat looking water effects at the bottom. Now, I never put too much time into the original title, but I think one of the changes they added was these presents that lets you pick one of the icons that you can see at the bottom of the screen. For example, the eye lets you fly up the tower, seeing what you're going to be dealing with later. Or the rocket pack sending you across the tower on that level to see what's coming up. Now, you'll also come across some locked doors. Now, which doors are locked? You have no idea until you try to enter it, at which point you'll then need to use a key, if you happen to pick the key as one of your items. And all while that's going on, that flying git will try and knock you down a level or 2. Now, I can deal with the timer and lives, but that thing is really unneeded, and almost soured me on the game. It's so strange to find a title that seems so interesting and something I'd like to check out, but at the same time be incredibly annoying. The second demo is for Turrican 2, a classic platforming shooter, and this demo is based on the second level of the game. where you'll get to fall, and then almost fall again in this Mega Man style traps at the very beginning, before it becomes more of what you'd expect from Turrican. Lots of shooting, jumping, and upgrades. Oh, so many upgrades, as we explore this map, which unfortunately isn't the full level 2. It's cut down with a big set of blocks that will stop your fall at a certain point. But if you explore a bit, you will eventually find the mini boss, which beating it will then just finish the demo there and then. So it's not one that will actually take you all that long to finish, as it's not particularly hard, but it is still a lot of fun, and you can then go back and explore the map more to see what else there is to find, as even with this small subsection of the map, there is a lot to check out. It's possibly not the most generous demo that we've played, but it does give you a good indication of what you can expect in the full game, because, well, it is just more of this. And we end with another full game. This time it's from Amiga Fun. That was basically the full game with a free magazine, and it's easily one of the least well archived magazines that I look at, as it's not too difficult to find the games, but the magazine content's so much harder. The game they've provided is Virus, spelt with a Y, so this isn't David Braden's 3D shooter, which they wouldn't have touched anyway, as the big thing with Amiga Fun was that they would track down games that were finished but failed to get published, and then would put them out themselves. But what we do get here is a multi-directional shooter, which seems to be a bit of a trend with them. It also has the oddest movement system I have ever come across, as our craft spins around that targeting reticule in the middle of the screen. And the speed that you move around is much quicker than you might expect, which can make precise targeting a little bit tricky. But at the same time, you do want to be able to change direction fast, so it's a bit of a difficult balancing act, and I don't think they quite got it right. Now, there are lots of things to shoot at as you fly across this computer motherboard looking background, and I'm gonna guess, based on its name and where you're flying, that, well, you're attacking computer viruses, and you're having to disinfect this machine. Now, obviously that's all guesswork, as I don't have the magazine or a scan of it to tell you what actually is happening, and the game itself doesn't tell you too much either. Now, it's possible that you might have been told everything in the original release, but this is a cracked version, and, well, they've decided to replace all the little text that they put up on the HUD. Now, I have stumbled across a few power-ups like rapid fire and multi-fire, which actually combined, which was cool, and it seems we can take a number of hits as well, as we have a power meter. But I'm not really sure if there's an objective or a goal here, as the level, well, it just keeps looping around as you scroll in each direction. And the baddies, well, they just keep showing up. So it might just be a score attack game, where all you need to do is just rack up a high score. And if this is the case, well, I can actually see why it wasn't picked up for publishing, as it might have been fun to play the odd time, but it's not something you'd want to keep coming back to, as, well, there's no way to beat it. It's an interesting game with some nice looking graphics, but it definitely isn't one for me. And what a month! A real mix of demos, full games, but what really took my interest? Well, in last, I'm going to say Nebulous 2. The trial and error gameplay wasn't great, but it did look lovely, and there were some cool tools that you could use to try and help with some of those issues. In second place, I'm going to say Chip's Challenge. It's the type of game that I'd enjoy in quick goes, slowly chipping away at it one puzzle at a time. And in first place, well, I guess it had to be Turrican 2. Yeah, the demo is short, and it had a few graphical glitches, but it shows the great game that you could expect, which is pretty much what you want from a demo. And with that, it's another month done. What did you think? Let me know in the comments as usual. And before you go, thank you for making it this far. It means a lot to me, as does the support from my absolutely amazing Patreons, who you can see on the screen right now, who had the chance of seeing this video a week early as well as without adverts. And if that sounds good to you, then well, you can actually join them for free. There'll be links in the description. And until next time, I was the Goldfish. That was a lot of free games, and this was Goldfish on Games.